And hello again, everyone. Welcome into this week's edition of Panther Pride. I'm Mickey Shadricks, joined now by Wellborn head coach Jeff Smith. Last Friday night, the Panthers went on the road up to the Field of Champions in Piedmont and lost a region matchup with the Bulldogs by a final score of 35-0. And Coach, this is the type of game you're not used to playing in. You haven't been shut out in a number of years at Wellborn, but as we talked about before we started the program, they've got a very good football team up at Piedmont this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Piedmont. I mean, they got an outstanding football team and a seasoned football team. And we went up there. We went up there. We were prepared. We had a good week of practice and had everything in and was prepared for the game and everything. And we just got up there and they outplayed us and beat us handily.
They got up on you in the first half, and it seemed like you had trouble moving the ball offensively. After looking at the film, what do you take from the game?
Well, the big thing that happened to us in the game is we had such poor field position, and we got backed up in our own end and couldn't get out. We had a good game plan going into the game, but when you're coming off your goal line, that eliminates a lot of your offense. We're just there's several drives that we took over and we were definitely inside our 20, and some of them were inside our 10.
This is a type of game, too. You can lose close games and you can lose games like this. I know you don't like to lose any game, but the way this game played out, is this easier to have a short memory and move on to the next one?
Well, we're going to have to. Look, they got a good football team. We didn't play well, and we're going to take this game, put it aside, and we're going to move ahead. And we're going to get back to, Wellborn football and team football starting Monday.
All right. A couple of key region games left for the Panthers. We talk about all that later in the program, but we'll take a break right now and come back with highlights of Piedmont and Wellborn from last Friday night. Stay with us as we continue on Panther Pride. And we're back on Panther Pride. Here's some scenes from last Friday night's matchup, the Field of Champions. Coach, we pick up the highlights.
There's not another one.
Well, we received the opening kick, and we had a pretty good first drive to start out with. They had a good kickoff and good coverage, and we started to drive on our 20, and then we drove it to about midfield before we had the punt. Then they came out there and got in a trips formation and ran the lead back away from it right there, and of course, got an outstanding running back right there, and he busted it right up the middle of the first play. But then we settled down here, and the game is playing right now. You see Jordan Montgomery's making a nice run here. The game's being played. It was 7-0 for the end of the first quarter. And, we're driving the ball, making some first downs. Here we have a nice pass right here to Montgomery, and we get it all the way down to, I think we get it down to the 5-yard line of Piedmont right now. All right, then we're battling in here. Got the ball down to about, I think it was 4th down and 3. Here we was trying to throw a throwback screen right here and just dropped it. We catch that ball right there, and then the score's tied up. They came back, and they're driving off their 3-yard line, and they have a nice drive. And that Taylor Hayes that plays quarterback for him, he is really something. I mean, he is a tough, hard-nosed football player. Here we're making plays, defensively. Even though it's 35-0, we're playing pretty solid right here, forcing them to punt. Okay, and now of course the punt gets by us here, and we're back deep in our territory again. They really won the field position more. We're trying to grind it back out of there and try to get the ball, get some field position so we can open it up a little bit. Here we go. Here we got to look at this outstanding catch right here. Montgomery makes right there. And jumps up and makes a good play and gets the ball to midfield. So right now it's a 7-0 game, and we're trying to drive, and then we blow some protection right there, and they sack us, and we were forced to punt. And here, of course, they come back with their quarterback and basically pounding him down us. Here they ran their reach play and got in the end zone. They got the edge sealed and got by us. So it's 14-0 right here with 3 minutes to go. Then we had the ball trying to get out of our territory. Of course, they had us down deep again. We tried to get the ball out of our territory, and we had to punt to them. And they had another short field here, and they were able to score right before the half, and we went in 21-0 at the half.
So Piedmont adds a late touchdown there in the first half.
Yes, it did. And again, the field position helped them. Here, this is right before the half. Here, we break a run and get across midfield, but again, it just the time runs out on us.
There you see the halftime score: Piedmont 21-0 at the half. And Coach, a couple of things there. You mentioned the field position situation. Kind of something similar happened to you early in the first half of the Weaver game. They were able to get back in that game against you before you went on and won it. But yeah, talk about how it limits you with what you can do offensively when you're struggling to flip the field.
Well, we had a good plan going into the game right there because we thought we could throw the ball on them, and we worked on some different passes through the week and that we thought would be successful against Piedmont, and we were able to do them. But then when you're backed up like you are, and they can just full pass rush and not have to honor any run, it's really hard to get that stuff off, and that's what happened to us. We were backed up in our own territory, and we had some receivers that we thought could get open, but of course you got to throw the ball, you've got to protect first. We've got a quarterback can throw, and we've got receivers that can catch it, but we've got to protect them so that we can get the play off, and that's what happened to us in the first half.
So it limits your play calls there.
Oh, it does. It does. It takes it away quickly.
And another takeaway there, if you take advantage of that scoring opportunity there early in the game.
It's a 7-7 game.
Who knows how that might have changed the tenor of the game. And when you're playing on the road against a good football team, you got to take advantage of your chances.
Well, you can't have any missed opportunities, and we did. We missed our opportunity there. It was a field position, and then when they scored on a big play, and then we had a chance to score when we got down there, and we didn't make it happen. So then they get the ball from the 3-yard line, and they drive it on out there, and it just and kept punting us back deep and just kept us pinned back.
All right, we'll take a break, come back with second half highlights. But as we go to break, let's check out the Wellborn High School marching band from last Friday night. Back on Panther Pride. Wellborn down 21-0 at the half at Piedmont. Coach kicking off to them.
We kicked the ball off right there, and again they got us sealed over on the edge, and they've got good field position. They're starting their drive on their 40-yard line. Here you see us. We came out there, had Joseph Harris and Kid Harris pass rushing right there, and had a good sack. We started out the drive. They started their drive out right there, and we really got after them. They fumbled the ball and got the ball back. But then you see we're applying pressure to the quarterback, and we were able to stop them the first drive to start the second half right there, and they're going to have to punt to us. They're going to have to end up punting to us on that drive. And then, of course, we in turn got us back in our own territory again, and we couldn't get it out. And we punted back to them, and they got the ball, and here they're on the drive here, getting back in our territory. And I think right here is when they finally got in here and maybe scored 28-0.
Kids still playing hard though, Coach. You can tell by watching.
Oh, they do. They play hard, and we start 5 sophomores on our defense, and they're fighting hard and fought hard the entire game. You see here again, they got the ball back here. This is late. This is getting later in the game. And they're just driving the ball down.
It's the best game we've had so far.
We're playing hard here, and again, that Taylor Hayes is an outstanding football player. He's got to be one of the top players we got in the entire county. Here we force a fumble and get the ball back, Okay, this was they were coming inside our 10 at that time, but then we start to drive. I think we started to drive off on our 3-yard line, and we had to punt from our end zone right here, and they were able to return the punt on us right here. We had to tight punt it, so that limits your coverage, and when you tight punt, then we were not as good as coverage-wise right there, and they got the edge sealed and scored. And the Blanchard's kid right there, number 8, he's an outstanding athlete too. Not just on the football field, but out there on the baseball field too. Here we're coming, they kick off to us, and I think we started driving on our 26, and we drove it out. Drove it out, and then the game ended up being 35-0.
And that is the final score. Piedmont defeats Welborn. Panthers fall to 4-3 overall and 3-2 in 3A Region 6 play. Still very much in control of your own destiny, though, yes, Coach, as far as playoffs are concerned. We'll talk about that a little later in the program. But right now, let's look at the individual player awards from the Piedmont game.
Okay. Scrambler this week was Jake Thrasher's our tight end. Pancake block was Taylor Borders. He started the game off real well and had a really good block on one of their better players to start the game off. Racehorse was DJ Roden, led us in rushing. Menace Panther was Jordan Montgomery. Played outstanding back there in the secondary. I think he had 17 tackles. Big Hog Award was Jake Thrasher for the defensive line and middle linebacker performance. Hardest hit was DJ Roden. The headhunter, I mentioned that already, was Jordan Montgomery, had 17 tackles in the game. The 12th man was Chandler Cup, which is our punter, because we had unfortunately had to punt a lot. Offensive player of the week was Jordan Montgomery. He had some outstanding receiving yards. And then, of course, defensive player of the week was Jordan Montgomery with 17 tackles.
All right, we've got some players that will be joining us in just a moment. But before we get to that, Coach, just one last piece of business on this game, then we'll move on. What's your takeaways from this? Anything that you see on film that you need to work on, improve on, or is it just on to the next game?
Well, there's a lot of things that we need to fix. And, I've talked to some of our players during, from the game to this morning. And the big thing that we've got to do is get back to ourselves and play Welborn football and team football. A lot of times when you play in a game like this and you get beat like we got beat, you kind of break away from yourselves. We just got to gather ourselves back and get back doing what we do and do your part to help your team be successful. Everybody's got a part to play in it. You do your part to help the team be successful, and the team's going to flourish.
All right. Well, Coach mentioned all those sophomores starting this year. We've got 3 of those young men about to join us here on Panther Pride. Stay with us as we continue in just a moment. And we are back on Panther Pride in our player segment. We've got 3 young Welborn sophomore players with us now on Panther Pride to talk for a few minutes. First of all, to my immediate right, number 5, Jamiron Curry. He is a sophomore defensive end and fullback. Then in the middle, we have Ked Harris. He is a sophomore running back and linebacker. Then to my far right is Pat Harris, a sophomore running back and defensive back. So, guys, thanks for joining us. And let me start. I'll just start here with Jamiron. Talk about this point in the season for you guys. You guys are still in good shape as far as the playoffs go. Tough loss last Friday night, but you've got a big region game coming up this week. Talk about what Coach was saying about how important it is to stay together, put this game behind you, and move on to the next one.
We got to stop thinking about the past, get back playing team football, and just get ready for the next game ahead.
All right, Ked, what's the mindset of the team?
There's a lot to focus on. Got to touch up on a bunch of little things first before we can move on.
And Pat?
Just like Ked said, we got to focus on the little things. We got to be a team, and we can be unstoppable.
You guys, as I mentioned, are sophomores. A lot of youth on this Welborn football team. I know a lot of pride that Coach Smith has instilled in this Welborn football program. I know none of you guys like to lose, but still, this is a football program that is consistently winning. Let me just ask you guys as young players, I know you know a lot of history of Welborn. Some of you have family members that have played at Welborn. Talk about what it's like to be a part of a football program like at Welborn where football is so important?
At Wellborn, it just means everything to you. It means everything to you, it means everything to players that play in front of you, it means everything players going to play after you. It just means a lot.
What about you, kid?
It means a lot to the fans out there. Because, I mean, without them, there's not Welborn football. If they're not there, there's nothing.
Matt?
Gives you something to fight for. The whole community.
Well, you guys have a lot to fight for. Again, you got 2 more region games left. We're about to talk with Coach Smith about this, but you guys control your own destiny, can still get in the playoffs again this year. Talk about how important that would be for you to get in the playoffs again.
It means a lot because once you enter the playoffs, everybody's 0-0. Everybody has a free chance for the state championship. It takes a chance.
Is that what motivates you guys?
Yes, sir.
So.
All right. Really appreciate you guys coming on and joining us this week, and you've got a lot of football ahead of you, not only this year, but again, 2 more years, and it's going to be exciting watching you guys continue to develop and play at Welborn. Appreciate you joining us this week.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Smith will rejoin us in just a moment. We'll look ahead to this week's big region matchup with Asheville. Stay with us. And we're back on Panther Pride. Next up for Welborn, the Panthers at home to play host to Asheville in a 3A Region 6 matchup. And, you know, Coach, right now when you look at the region standings, you're sitting in 4th. Piedmont, Glencoe, Weaver, then you guys. But, of course, you've already beaten Weaver head-to-head. 2 more region games to play. Right. So there's some shifting that could occur here in the next couple of weeks. But talk about Asheville. They've kind of struggled this year, only 2 victories. But anybody can beat anybody on any given Friday night. Talk about this game this week.
Well, you know, Coach Martin is he used to be was a assistant strength coach at Alabama, was a strength coach at UAB. His father was a longtime high school coach, and he's went over to Asheville, and he's doing some good things over there. And I've already watched them on film and broke them down, and they're better than they were last year. They're definitely better than they were last year. They're a little older. They were young last year, and as the season's going, it seems like that they are getting better. So, I mean, they're coming to Welborn. You know, what we've got to do, again, is focus on ourselves, get ourselves better, and, you know, get ourselves playing together, and, you know, and go out there and play hard for 4 quarters and, you know, see where it goes. Well,
again, this is a really important time of the season.
Absolutely.
You picked up some big region wins. You're back at home for the rest of the regular season.
Right.
You've got Asheville and Ohatchee at home, then you got an open week. Everybody wants to go into the postseason. Number one, you want to get there, and you want to go in there with some momentum. The table's pretty well set for you guys if you take care of business at home the next couple of weeks.
Well, we just, you know, again, we got to focus on this upcoming game, and you know, if I'm not mistaken, if we win this game, that'll put us in. Definitely, if we win the next 2, it'll put us in. You know, and we got some good things in front of us. If we make the playoffs this year, that'll be the 7th straight year that we've made the playoffs.
Wow. And
that's never happened in Welborn football history, 7 straight years of state playoffs. And also, if we win the next 2 games, that'll be our 50th win in 7 years out there at Welborn. And again, in the first 7 years of any program that we've had out there get started, it's never been 50 wins in 7 years. And so we've got 2 big goals in front of us, just with making the playoffs and, you know, getting the 50th wins in front of us. So we just got to take care of ourselves and get ourselves better.
Some exciting football left ahead for the Welborn Panthers, and we'll be back with you again next week for all the highlights of Welborn and Asheville. Coach Smith and I will see you again next week right here on Panther Pride.